Let's welcome in longtime NFL GM, three-time Super Bowl champ Scott Pioli. Scott, take us into the front office for these two teams and what went down to get this trade done.
Well, Amanda, clearly a lot of conversations and a lot of work went into this because, again, this is a huge trade. It's going to affect both franchises in different directions. But in addition to the head coaches and the general managers that were involved with this trade, I am certain, again, not because I heard anything, but just based on what I'm seeing, that ownership was involved as well. One of the things that no one is talking about at this present moment is the fact that the Broncos are a team for sale. And I mean, if you're going to spend a few $1 billion to buy a football team like the Denver Broncos, the optics of how good that franchise is definitely relevant. So to me, the way that this went down was, I'm sure there were a lot of conversations between John Schneider and George Paton out at Indy, at the Combine, putting things together, talking about things. But once again, when you make a huge trade like this, ownership has to get involved. So to me, the owners are fully involved in this trade as well.
Well, and then from that perspective, from a business perspective now, I mean, how much more attractive now are the Denver Broncos when it comes to selling this team?
Well, I think it makes them more, again, they're going to spend a few $1 billion as it is, but if you're going to be spending a few $1 billion, you want to know and have an idea and believe that there's a chance that you can have success early. So to me, this makes the bidding much more attractive for whoever wants to be in, because everyone who has that kind of money wants to be in this business, wants to be in the game. But when you have the thought that you have a relatively young quarterback, he's certainly not an old quarterback, but a quarterback near his prime, and you can do some winning, this absolutely makes the Broncos franchise look much, much more palatable if you're going to spend that kind of money.
We heard from Ryan Harris there. He said, look, they're celebrating in the streets in Denver, but let's talk about what's going on in Seattle now. What it took for this team to say, you know what, okay, we'll send away Russell Wilson. Pete Prisco mentioned, look, Pete Carroll's 70 years old now. You're now looking at an entire rebuild for this team in Seattle. What made this deal attractive to them?
Well, to me, they clearly felt something was going on behind the scenes last year, Amanda. It was talked about, then it wasn't talked about, so it was clearly that the marriage wasn't in a good place. So to me, even though Pete Carroll may be nearing the end of his career, he may or may not be, but the fact is John Schneider is still a relatively young general manager. So that plays into this. Again, when you look at this draft class, the surprising part to me is when you look at this draft class, it's not like they are going to find their quarterback of the future, more than likely, in this year's class. Now, as soon as I say that, they found Russell Wilson and drafted Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. Maybe there's a person that John Schneider is really interested in that he has seen in this draft where he thinks, hey, our guy of the future is in this draft. A lot of people think this is a bad quarterback draft. I think I can maybe find something here. So to me, all of that is going into play because they're not going to sacrifice current and future seasons by moving on from Russell Wilson. This was something that was thoroughly thought through before they made this decision.
Scott, we love talking to you to give us that inside perspective as to what is going on behind the scenes, because so many of us are focused on just what is going on in the field. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you very soon because it has been a day. It will continue to be like that. Throughout this offseason, the NFL is never done. Make sure to download and follow the Pick Six podcast for everything in the world of the NFL. One emergency pod already up on Aaron Rodgers agreeing to a $200 million 4-year deal with the Packers to stay there. Now there will be an emergency podcast on Russell Wilson getting traded to the Broncos. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.